What if I told you that a struggling waitress, a young woman barely making enough to pay her rent and feed her little brother, once saved the life of one of the world's richest men, but when he opened his eyes, the very first words he spoke weren't, "Thank you." Sounds unbelievable, right? But stay with me until the end of this story, because what he said will leave you stunned and maybe even change the way you see kindness, fate, and life itself. And before we begin, if you believe that small acts of goodness can change the world in big ways, make sure you hit the like button right now and subscribe to Goodness Corner so you never miss more life-changing stories like this one. Now, let's step into the life of a girl who had no idea her ordinary shift would turn into the moment that changed her destiny forever. Her name was Emma. She was 22 years old, thin from skipping too many meals, her hands rough from washing endless piles of dishes in the back of the small-town diner where she worked. Life had not been kind to her. Her father had passed away when she was just 16, and her mother, broken by grief, had slipped into a quiet depression that left Emma to take care of her little brother, Daniel. He was only 10 now, a sweet boy with curly brown hair and an innocent smile who still believed his sister could fix anything. Emma had learned to put on a brave face for him, but behind her tired eyes, she carried the crushing weight of bills, debts, and the constant fear that she would fail him. Every day, she worked double shifts at the diner, running between tables with a forced smile, listening to customers complain about coffee that wasn't hot enough or pie that was too sweet, even though she herself hadn't had a warm meal in days. On that particular evening, the diner was unusually quiet. The rain poured outside, drumming against the windows, and most locals had stayed home. Emma was cleaning the counter when the door swung open, and a tall, well-dressed man stumbled in. He looked out of place in their small-town diner, wearing a sharp-tailored suit that was soaked from the rain. His salt and pepper hair was slicked back, his shoes expensive leather, but there was something about his eyes that made Emma pause. They weren't just tired, they were pained. The man, though he carried himself with the air of someone important, almost collapsed onto a booth, clutching his chest with one hand and gasping for breath. Emma rushed over immediately, her instincts sharper than her hesitation. "Sir, are you okay?" she asked, fear tightening her voice. The man tried to speak, but his words broke into a groan. He was sweating, pale, and trembling. Emma's heart raced. She'd seen this before, back when her father had suffered a heart attack. The way his lips turned blue, the way his hand gripped his chest, it was the same. Panic threatened to paralyze her, but Emma forced herself to act. She shouted to the cook in the back to call 911, then turned back to the man. "Stay with me, sir, please," she begged, remembering every fragment of first aid training she'd ever read on the diner's safety poster. The man collapsed fully onto the seat, his breathing shallow. Emma jumped onto her knees beside him, tilting his head back and checking his pulse. Faint, irregular. She began chest compressions, counting under her breath, her tears mixing with the sweat on his shirt. "Don't you dare die here," she whispered fiercely, pumping with all the strength in her arms. "Not on my watch. Not like this." Minutes felt like hours as she alternated compressions with rescue breaths, praying desperately for the sound of sirens. In her mind, she saw Daniel's face, his little brother's belief that she could fix anything. She wasn't going to let this man die, even if he was a stranger. Finally, the man gasped, his body jolting slightly under her hands. Relief flooded through Emma as his eyes fluttered open, but they were unfocused, clouded with pain. She held his head gently, whispering, "You're okay, just hold on a little longer. Help is coming." But as his lips parted and he forced out his first words, Emma froze. They weren't, "Thank you," or even, "Help." Instead, he rasped, "Don't, let them, find me." His voice was hoarse, broken, but the urgency in it was unmistakable. Emma blinked in confusion, certain she had misheard, but the man clutched her arm with surprising strength, his eyes boring into hers. "Promise me," he wheezed. "Don't, let them, find me." Before Emma could respond, the sound of sirens filled the air outside, flashing red and blue against the diner's rain-streaked windows. Paramedics burst in, taking over, pulling the man onto a stretcher and working quickly. Emma stumbled back, her arms shaking, her mind spinning with his strange words. Who was them? Why was a man who looked like he belonged in a skyscraper office hiding in a small-town diner in the middle of nowhere? And why, after she had just saved his life, would his first words not be gratitude but a desperate plea for secrecy? The cook clapped her on the shoulder, saying something about how brave she was, but Emma barely heard him. Her heart was still hammering, her hands trembling, her uniform stained with rain, sweat, and a faint trace of blood. As the ambulance pulled away, carrying the mysterious stranger into the night, Emma realized her life had just been pulled into a story much bigger than she could understand. She didn't know it yet, but saving that billionaire's life was only the beginning. The truth behind his words, and the danger that came with them, was about to change her world forever. And friends, this is only the start. If you're hooked already and you want to know what happens when Emma discovers who this man really is, stay tuned for the next chapter. And don't forget, if you believe in stories of courage, fate, and the power of kindness, hit the like button and subscribe to Goodness Corner right now, so you can be the first to hear how this incredible journey unfolds. Emma couldn't sleep that night. The billionaire's haunting words echoed in her ears, "Don't let them find me." She kept replaying the scene, wondering who they were. By morning, the diner was buzzing with whispers. The news revealed his identity: Richard Hale, one of the world's wealthiest men, feared and admired for his empire. Yet the report shocked Emma. He had been missing for days, with rumors of betrayal inside his own company. When Emma visited the hospital, Richard was awake, but his eyes softened only when they met hers. "You saved me," he said, voice steadier now. "But gratitude isn't enough. I need your trust." Tears welled in Emma's eyes. She realized her life was no longer ordinary, she was tied to a secret bigger than money. If you want to know how trust, sacrifice, and destiny unfold in this journey, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to Goodness Corner.